Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, all very, very cheeky of you. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Crazy Family 35, who asks, am I the a-hole for doing the same thing to my boyfriend's vehicle that he does to mine? I try to keep this as short as possible for you guys. I, 21 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 21 male, for a little over a year. Have just moved in together. I have a really good job and own a 35 to 40-ish thousand-ish Toyota Hilux that I use for work, while my boyfriend owns a $10,000 at most Toyota Surf. This information is important to the story. I make significantly more than him. So my boyfriend has this big idea that because my truck costs more and is cheaper to deal with, that we should just use it 95% of the time and only use his for short distance travels, or if I didn't fill mine up, which I'm fine with most of the time, as this is true, and his can be a bit unreliable sometimes. The problem I have is that he insists on using my truck for whatever he wants to do. When I say no, he pulls the "we are a couple and should share everything between us 50-50 blah blah" card. Recently I found out that he took my truck off-roading through a mutual friend, and when he returned it, had scratches all up the driver's side and a dent on the front bonnet. I was furious. Our mutual friend said that he was trying to see how much the truck could put up with, and ended up losing control, which led him to sliding into a bank. He also said that he would speed down a straight and slam the brakes, which would lead the truck to spin out. When I got home later that day, I blew up at him and demanded that he help pay for the repairs that needed to be done, which he refused because he was saving up to make upgrades to his own truck. I left to go to a mate's house to cool down and ended up staying the night. When I checked my phone the next morning, there were text messages and missed calls from him, asking where I was and that he needed my truck to do something. I refused again and didn't hear from him for the rest of the day. When I got home later that night, he said he was sorry and that he wanted to take me out to dinner and that we can take his truck if I liked. I said yes, and so we left with me driving his truck. When we were almost at our destination, I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine and abruptly put my foot on the brake, which led to his truck stopping quite suddenly. I laughed, but when I looked over at him, his face was twisted in anger, and he yelled at me, asking me how I could be so stupid and inconsiderate towards his truck. I was stunned. I quietly got out of the truck, called an Uber to take me home, packed some things and went to my parents' house. My mum and his mum and the majority of our friends thinks he's the a-hole, but my dad and some other friends said that I'm the a-hole and should think about how he's feeling, and that his truck is a lot older than mine and more prone to breaking, which is starting to make me second guess my feelings towards this whole thing. I feel like he's just using me for what I have and to get what he doesn't have. So, am I the a-hole? Hell no, not the asshole in this situation. He damages your stuff and then refuses to pay, and then gets angry when he gets a little taste of his own medicine. It doesn't matter about the age of your truck or the age of his truck or if it's more prone to breaking or anything like that. He went out and damaged your property and now is refusing to pay. It's as simple as that. But OP edits the post and says, there's a few comments that I want to address, but I can't be bothered replying to them one by one. My truck plays a major role in what I do for work, so I can't afford to not have it. He has apologized before taking my truck without asking me many times before, and then trying to sugarcoat it by trying to do something nice for me, and I always gave in and continues to use it after I say no or that I need it. Even though I make more than him, he still has a well-paying job, but says he doesn't want to spend anything unnecessary, as he wants to save up to upgrade his truck and then sell it on and get a better one. He told me this and we agreed on paying 60-40 for our place, although looking back on it, he may have gaslit me a little into agreeing. He does pay for gas, but only fills it up to where it was before using it. I'm still grateful he pays for gas when he uses it. I'm meeting up with his mum in a couple of days to talk about a few things, but she has already said that whatever I decide, she will back me. And in the comments, someone says, at first I was thinking not the a-hole because he's clearly been disrespectful to you and your truck. However, he's then apologized for his actions, offered to take you out for dinner, and drive in his truck as an amendment. He might even make further apologies / discussions about it later. And you have responded by being a petty child and treating his truck disrespectfully. So, you're the a-hole for that. OP responds and saying, this isn't the first time he has been reckless with my truck. I understand I may have overreacted. He says he's sorry every time I found out he took it without asking me. That's why I thought this time would be no different. but I probably shouldn't have jumped to conclusions like that. This wasn't the first time he has apologized for taking my truck without asking me and then trying to sugarcoat it by doing something nice, but I may have jumped the boat a bit thinking this time would be no different. Looking back now, I do agree it was a bit immature of me to do that. Someone says to OP, "Not the a-hole, at least you didn't take his car off-roading." OP says, "Lol, no, he won't let me because he does not want me to show him up. I grew up learning the best ways to drive when off-roading, and also learnt rally driving from my big brother. He takes my truck off-roading because he likes to show off to all our other mates he goes with." Someone says he is 100% using you and you really need to reconsider this relationship. OP says, "After reading all these comments and having some time to think, I can say for certain that I definitely am. After sleeping on it and thinking about it a bit more and talking to my mum, I'm considering leaving him. My name is on the house because I paid the down payment for it. The truck is fully paid off now. I saved up as much as I could to pay for it before we got the house, and then every cent I could spare went into the payment. He tried asking me if I could put his name on the truck as well, but only as a small holder, but I outright refused because I didn't want him getting any ownership ideas and have him throw that in my face down the line." And a couple more comments, one from Kara Mist who says, "Leave this guy. He assumes because you make more he can just damage your things and you can replace them. He feels entitled to your things. At the very least, I would take away his access to my vehicle. My husband makes more than I do. We each have our own vehicles, although his is significantly more expensive than mine. I don't drive his car unless it's an emergency, and vice versa." And one more comment from Zane who says, and quotes, "My mum and his mum and the majority of our friends think he's the a-hole, but my dad and some other friends said that I'm the a-hole and should think about how he's feeling, and that his truck is a lot older than mine and more prone to breaking." And says, "What the fuck? So not the arsehole. You need to clean house in your life, starting with your entitled boyfriend, your other friends, and maybe even your dad. Your boyfriend actually damaged your truck. You didn't hurt his. It could be argued that if his truck is too delicate to perform a sudden stop, it is unfit to drive. What if it were a child who darted into the street requiring a slam on the brakes to stop? I'm reasonably confident this double standard attitude has misogyny behind it. That there is resentment, judgment, insecurity towards you for having a better job and a nicer vehicle than a man. Dump the boyfriend, move out, sue him in small claims court for the damage he incurred on your truck, off-roading it without your permission. Mutual friend can be your witness." Then OP comes back with an update 6 weeks later who says, "Sorry this took so long everyone, it's been a crazy couple of months with holidays and stuff and I just needed to break from things. I met with his mum a couple of days after Christmas. We talked and long story short, she said he'd been struggling. Since he never had a male figure, that doesn't excuse his disrespectful behavior towards me and my things. She said that he should be more than grateful that I pay for the majority of the things we own and do, and outright said I should leave him. Honestly, before I met up with her, I'd already planned on it. When I got home yesterday, I sat him down and gave him a rundown of the things he had done to me over the past year and told him that we are done and I want him and his stuff out by morning, the day I wrote this. He was not happy and went into a shouting fit and started calling me all sorts of colourful words. He tried stepping up to me, but I held my ground and had my dog with me who was fiercely loyal and got in between me and him. He was stunned to say the least because he thought he made a connection with my dog, but no matter what, he is loyal to me. I left and gave him one last warning that if he wasn't out by the time I got back today, that I will be calling the police. He was gone by the time I got back today, and I'm planning on getting the locks to everything changed. I contacted a lawyer who said that since my name is on the house and I pay the majority of the costs, that there isn't much he can do. I got messages from my mates who said that he tried disrespecting me to them, but they gave him the cold shoulder. I arrived back home to find him there with a friend he had before we met, and he got ugly again saying that I owed him, and if I didn't give him what he wanted, there would be consequences. I think he thought this threat would scare me, but I was over being the nice guy to him and told him that if he didn't leave immediately, that there would be higher consequences for him. I showed him my phone which was recording him, and he threw another temper tantrum. When he was leaving, he tried taking my dog with him. This is when it gets interesting. He opened my truck door where my dog was and tried grabbing by the collar, which led to my dog biting him on the arm. He left and I called the cops to get a restraining order put in place. I messaged him and said that if he doesn't at least help me pay for the repairs to my truck, that I would be taking him to court and contacting his insurance provider. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. So yeah, safe to say I've had my fair share of drama the last couple of days, but it feels like a big weight has been taken off my shoulders. And I'm so glad I don't have to deal with him directly anymore. I'm looking at this as a good thing to take away stuff that I have learned from this relationship to put into what I'll be expecting and not expecting my new one. Not that I'll be looking for a while. Thank you for all your insightful comments and words, it helped me greatly. I will try my best to answer any questions in the comments. You know when things are absolutely at a shitty point, when his own mother's telling her to leave him. Wow. Now what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Am I the A-hole subreddit from Oh Shit I Did, who says, am I the a-hole for sending my neighbor a ransom note? A couple of weeks ago, my next door neighbor left a note in my mailbox. Apparently our trash carts were mixed up and he wanted his back, which is fine, but he wasn't exactly polite. The note read, you have my trash cart. The city assigns everyone a specific trash cart for a reason. I expect it returned in good condition. For reference, my neighbor is older, probably in his 70s. We got along fine when we moved in. We saw him and his wife almost every day. We would say hi and chat, and they always got our son something for his birthday. Things kind of went south about 2 years ago. Our house was built in the early 90s and was starting to look its age. We did no stucco, windows and doors. So now we have what looks like a new contemporary home next to their home, which now looks worse than it did by comparison. I think this bothered them. Before the remodel, they would come out and say hi just about every time they saw us. After the remodel, the only time we spoke was when they happened to be coming or going at the same time. Maybe once a month if that. So back to the story. After getting his note, I made a ransom note. I cut letters and words out of my wife's magazine to write this. I have your trash cart. If you want to see it alive again, you'll do exactly as I say. Meet me at the Arroyo Bridge at midnight. No funny business. If I so much as smell a cop, you'll find your cart floating in the river. Anonymous. I thought it was funny. I thought he might even think it was funny. But the next day when I was leaving for the gym, he comes out and says, you're a real arsehole, you know. I was a little surprised, so I laughed, which I think made him madder. I just replied, sorry man, just making a joke, let me get your trash can. They're identical as best as I can tell, but apparently he was pretty attached to his. I'm hurting Cat says and not the a-hole, I think it's funny as fuck. However, you should know that the Venn diagram of things I think are funny and things that are in poor taste is just one big circle. Advanced C says, I don't know, you might have been an arsehole, but I gotta laugh over it. I mean, come on, it's a city provided trash can, right? Are there ID numbers on each can? No one's an arsehole here. Nighttime Gaze says everyone sucks here. He could have taken a joke better. You could have not assumed he'd find it funny. Guy's your neighbor, and the only thing you know for sure about him is that you all live on the same street. Sunday is my jam says, Light, you're the a-hole. Seems pretty clear to me from the situation that you described that your neighbor would not find this funny. If your intention was to further annoy him, mission accomplished. If your intention was to extend an olive branch via humor, you simply failed to read the room. Return the car in pristine condition. Write a simple apology. Move on. Ingenious Machine says, has no one else in the comment section ever made a ransom note or word collage as an art project or something? This would have been so much work. A completely implausible amount of work. OP, you are seriously trying to claim that you sat down and spent an hour of your life very carefully and laboriously cutting some combination of up to 50 words or 200 letters out of your wife's magazines, ruining the expensive magazines in the process, and then painstakingly, slowly, carefully glued every single one of those 50 to 200 easily ripped, easily smeared, easily lost teeny tiny scraps of paper onto the page to spell out that giant letter of dozens of words or hundreds of characters. If you actually did this incredibly stupid and unlikely and almost certainly made up thing instead of just giving your neighbor his trash can back, then yes, you're the a-hole. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Would you have laughed at it? Would you have not have? Would you have been angry about the letter? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Thomas XD24, who says, am I the a-hole for accidentally ruining my girlfriend's career? Hi everyone. I'm in a tough spot right now, and I'm not sure if I'm the arsehole or not. My girlfriend, 27 female, let's call her Sarah, and I, 26 male, have been together for 3 years. She's always been passionate about her job as a teacher and has worked really hard to build up her career. However, a few weeks ago, I accidentally stumbled upon some photos of Sarah on Instagram that I have never seen before. There were pictures of her in some very revealing clothing, and some of them were even nude. I was shocked and confronted her about it, and she told me that she used to be a lingerie model before becoming a teacher. She said she stopped doing it because she didn't want it to affect her career, and she thought I knew about it already. I didn't know how to react at first, but eventually I told a few of my friends about it. One of my friends is a gossip and ended up telling someone who works at the school where Sarah teaches. Long story short, the photos somehow got into the hands of the school board and Sarah was fired for unprofessional behavior. Sarah is devastated and blames me for ruining her career. She says I should have kept my mouth shut and that I betrayed her trust. I feel terrible about what happened, but I didn't know that it would lead to this. Am I the a-hole for accidentally ruining my girlfriend's career? When you said in this story, I didn't know how to react at first, but eventually I told a few of my friends about it. My arm was on my forehead just like, oh, what are you doing? And especially one of your friends who you say in this post is a gossip. You told them. Of course, there was a chance of these photos coming out at some point down the line anyway, unless they got privated in between or something like that. But you certainly haven't helped this situation at all. But Claire Clary says, you're the a-hole. You didn't know how to react at first, but then settled on the let me share my girlfriend's private and obviously career-ending information with a bunch of people whom I know will gossip reaction. Don't tell us you didn't know this could be a possibility. You knew. You were uncomfortable with your girlfriend's past and wanted her embarrassed. Well, go you. I hope your next girlfriend is a pure innocent flower. Pray she's not appalled by anything in your past. Cab Manor says you're the a-hole. She needs to delete the old account, move to a different district. There's still a massive teacher shortage in most areas, and dump your gossipy ass. Comprehensive Band says you're the a-hole. You say your friend is a gossip, but you literally gossiped about your girlfriend to your friends. I'm a teacher. Teachers are held to a different standard than most people. You knew exactly what you were doing when you opened your big mouth and blabbed her secret. You showed your girlfriend that she can't trust you. You're upset that she was a lingerie model and didn't tell you before, so you punished her for it. Shame on you. She will have a very difficult time getting another teaching job. You didn't accidentally blab to your friends. You did that on purpose. So the fact that you ruined her career was not an accident. You're just desperate to avoid looking like an arsehole, but you are an arsehole. Ms. Jamie Farr says you're the a-hole because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. The pictures shocked you. You had to know they might shock others. Yes, these pictures could have gotten around eventually, but you expedited it and broke your girlfriend's trust. She has every right to send you packing at this point. You showed her that you are not on her side, and that's a requirement of a good partner. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? And let's have one more story. And this next story comes from Awkward Sky 7811, who asks, am I the a-hole for asking my girlfriend to watch my favorite movies with me? Throwaway because. Last weekend was my male 28th birthday. My girlfriend, female 25, had asked what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to watch my favorite movie trilogy, Lord of the Rings. I didn't think my girlfriend was thrilled, but she didn't say anything and agreed. Just seen them before and I don't think she really likes them very much, but she knows I love them, so she doesn't really say anything. Besides, they aren't really her thing. But I really wanted to make a day of watching them. I went over to her house because she has a really big comfortable couch. About 10 minutes into the first movie, I look over and she is browsing on her phone. I was a little miffed, but didn't say anything. She basically scrolled through her phone the entire movie. When we started the second movie, she opened a bottle of wine and proceeded to drink the whole thing, while still sitting on her phone. I was pretty irritated at this point because she wasn't even paying attention at all. The third movie started, and by then she opened another bottle of wine and was asleep within the first 20 minutes. I was really mad at that point and just left and went home. A few hours later, I got a text asking where I went. I told her I was mad that she couldn't pay attention to my favorite movies on my birthday. She told me I was an arsehole and to grow the hell up. I've texted her a couple of times, but she hasn't responded. Am I the a-hole? Now, I understand wanting to do something like that for your birthday, watching your favorite movie trilogy or something like that, but subjecting someone else who you admitted at the very start of this story doesn't really like Lord of the Rings, and wanting them to sit through it just doesn't sit right with me. And the logic of why would you want someone to sit there that you know doesn't like the movie to sit there and watch it as well? I think that would just make me anxious to have someone, it's my birthday, so you got to sit and watch my favorite movie trilogy, Star Wars. I just wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want someone to be sitting there not enjoying the movie that I love. I think that'd be just awkward as hell. But Corinne says you're the a-hole. She's seen them before and she didn't like them, yet she agreed to be there with you while you watch them on your birthday without complaint. Why does it matter if she's paying attention? What do you gain from that except validation of forcing someone to pay attention to something you like for however long that bloody trilogy is? I mean, that is not a small amount of time. She dedicated to being there with you despite you knowing she would get nothing from it. You're kind of ungrateful and controlling. Not to mention the way you just let yourself get angrier and angrier about it until you stormed out without saying anything. She's right. You could stand to grow up. Ditto Head Forever says you're the a-hole. Your favorite movies are your favorites, not hers. And you even acknowledge that she doesn't like them. Now you're pouting because she didn't enjoy being subjected to watching hours of those films. Would you have been attentive and enthralled if she lined up a day of watching beaches, fried green tomatoes, Sleepless in Seattle, etc.? And one more comment from Agent Alpo who says you're the a-hole. I get it's your birthday and you can do what you want, but you knew she had seen the movies and she didn't really care for them. The fact that she was willing to sit there with you for approximately 9 hours is a testament to her patience. Getting mad because she wasn't paying attention is dramatic. If you wanted to spend actual time with her, maybe you should have picked a different activity. Flip it around. How would you feel if you had to sit through 9 hours of movies you don't like? And OP obviously read a lot of these comments and then added an edit to this post which says, this has really blown up and I've gotten a little overwhelmed. But I do accept that I was the arsehole. Watching 9 hours of movies that she hates was definitely too much of an ask, and I shouldn't have reacted the way I did. I just took it personally because I felt like she didn't even try and these movies are important to me. The fact that she isn't much of a drinker and drank this much kind of set me off. I called and left a voicemail apologizing. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Could you deal with 9 hours of Lord of the Rings? I don't mind it, I quite like it, but how about could you sit through 9 hours of something you don't like for your other half? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.